Welcome back to Trying to Figure It Out. Peter Madrigal is here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Very excited to have you here. We are going to talk all things Vanderpump Rules, all things what Peter has been up to. Walk me through where you started at SUR and how you started at SUR.
I just graduated from college. I was like, yeah, I need a job. Ended up started working at Club Monaco, which actually no longer exists. So one day, Guillermo happens to be walking in looking for clothes, and I help him out. And he said, SUR is looking for another busser. Do you like working here? Do you want to do something else? I was like, yeah, sure. And that was in 2008, and I've never left. And you know, I started as a busser, and then I was like, we had a couple of servers come and go. And me, I'm just a loyal guy. So I said, oh, well, I want to bump up, and I want to become one of the servers here. So they bumped me up. And then in 2010... they said, oh, we need a manager. And I said, I'll do it. So they gave me the job. And the rest, as they say, is history. 2011 comes around. Lisa's saying, oh, let's do a show. 2012, season 1.
So you were manager at the time that the idea for the show came out.
I was a manager before.
You were manager in 2010. Okay, so what was your reaction when Lisa comes to you?
I said yes.
We're gonna.
That's all. Like I was all. I'm doing it. You know. And there were some people there that said, "Oh, Peter, do you think it's you know?" I was all like, you know, even if you get some followers and you're able to get some business going off of it, I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little did I know.
Who knew?
Yeah. That 15 years later, I'm like, all right, let's rock and roll. You know?
I mean, you mentioned a few moments ago that you're a loyal guy, and I think that shows in your time at SUR and just in general.
What's funny is that Lisa said it. She was all like, Peter has been here for 17 years.
I saw
it's true.
There was a meme that was like, or this thing that Lisa said where she's like, I want everyone at SUR to like go on and be famous and successful and all the things, but Peter can't leave.
Yeah,
she loves
I remember
you.
that.
Since you are like the OG at SUR, you were there before the show was even born. Let's play a little game where you tell me the first impression you had of different SUR employees.
Oh my God.
We're just going to go one by one. You can tell me. It can be short and sweet, whatever you want. First, Tom Scandoval.
I was all like, this guy really likes to groom himself.
Facts. Okay, Lisa Vanderpump.
Lisa, I was intimidated by Lisa when I first worked, but I was a busser. And so when I was first introduced to Lisa, she wasn't even on Real Housewives yet. As a young kid, 25 years old, you know, you're still a kid at 25. I mean, let's face it. I walk in and Guillermo introduces me to Ken and Lisa. And I remember Ken telling me, give me a glass of decaf coffee.
I love Ken.
Yes, sir. I remember approaching Lisa with her tea. I give it to her, and she's like, Peter, you can say hi. I was like, hi, Lisa. How are you? And then that switched the dynamic.
Yeah.
You know?
That was like
Impetus.
What made it comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. Okay, first impression of Stassi.
Wow.
You dated Stassi.
Yes. Wow, that's a long time ago. I remember going to Avatar with Stassi, and her passing out in the middle of the movie.
What?
Yeah, I had to like carry out.
Passing out drunk or passing out?
No, just
like
passing
fainting?
out. No, passing out.
Like literally just falling
sleeping.
asleep.
Yeah, she passed out. She passed out at Avatar, and I'm like sitting there like eating my popcorn. She's.
That's honestly iconic.
It is. So I had to carry her back to the car. It was no, she woke up eventually, but she's like, "Oh, that was such a great movie." I was like, "Was it?
You sure?
Was it?" You know.
How long did you date?
A couple. I can't remember exactly how long, but it was a while.
Yeah. Okay, first impression of Katie.
I thought she was cool.
Yeah. What about Lala?
You know what's funny is that Lala, I didn't really have a first impression of her because I didn't really know her. I didn't get to know her. Mm-hmm. A couple of years ago, we were shooting season 10. We were waiting to go into the OK Magazine party for Schwartz and Sandy's.
Yes.
And I was sitting outside, and I saw Lala, and Lala was like, "Oh, hey, Peter." I was like, "Oh, hey, Lala, how's it going?" We sat down. We had a conversation. It was a deep conversation. I was all like, "Lala, do you realize that since working at SUR, since you and I have known each other, this is the first time we've actually had a conversation?"
What did she say?
She said, "Nuh-uh, Peter, it's not true." I was like, "Yes, it is. We've never actually talked like this before. We've never talked. We've been on the same show for the last 10 seasons, and this is the first time we've actually had a conversation."
That's crazy.
I guess we never really clicked as people.
I feel like she has her guard up in a lot of ways. And
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess.
yeah. What was your first, actually, maybe first impression or more so, what was it like trying to train Tom Schwartz to be a bartender?
Can he actually bartend?
I don't know. It didn't appear to be so. He was a nervous Nelly back there.
Okay, first of all, I remember I picked up Lisa. And we were going to downtown Los Angeles to pick out some candles before we went and visited with Jax, who had just gotten his nose job. And Schwartz was with him, and we were just making fun of Schwartz. It's like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And then he left Pump after 2 minutes of being on the job. I didn't train him. If I had trained him, he would know what to do. But then again, yeah, he's not a bartender. He'll never.
I do love Tom Schwartz. I just think he's like, I don't know what it is, but there's something about him that I just love him. But watching him in stressful situations was always just
hilarious.
Hilarious. You could just see him crumbling. Okay, first impression of Ariana.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love Ariana. Yeah. And then last one, first impression of Kristen.
Oh, yeah. Kristen taught me how to fold the napkins at SUR.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I remember her, I was the busser, and she was like, how do you carry a glass? So I picked up one glass. Now I can put a bunch of glasses on a finger, one hand and another hand. That's not, it's like child's play to me at this point. But you're talking 17 years ago. So I grabbed one glass. She's like, oh, you've got so much learning to do. I was like, okay, I'll learn. Yeah. Yeah.
And you really did. So for backstory, for anyone who's listening to this who doesn't know how Peter ended up here today, we just
here it is, folks, right here, right now. Here it comes.
Peter commented on an episode clip of mine that we posted where one of our previous guests on the show, Charlie Burnett, mentioned that she didn't actually work at SUR. And Peter did slide into my comments.
I rarely do that. I rarely comment. I'm like, because I'm so focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But when I see something that's like, wait a second, that's so egregiously wrong.
Yeah.
For
sure.
I have to say something. First of all, I've been managing that place since 2010. Everybody worked at SUR. Okay. Jax, for instance. He, one time I was a little late, and he ended up, because he was always early, and so he ended up putting the music on this was for a lunch shift. I had to make sure that Kristen was always doing it on her tables and not outside smoking,
Yeah.
So there was a lot, there's so many stories that I can just pluck out of the air of everybody working there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, yeah, Peter, he pretended to manage SUR. I literally have a clock in. I have records of me being there. Everybody that is on the new season all work at SUR.
That was another question I wanted to ask.
All of them work at SUR. I know every single one of them.
So are they paid separately as employees and cast members?
Yes.
Okay. I just want clarity then. What do you think her version of the story is? If you had to try and understand where she was coming from.
Well, what was her quote exactly?
I would literally come in, do a fake shift.
Oh, it was a fake shift. Though.
Yeah,
like you weren't actually serving people.
No.
Waiting.
No. Other people worked there. I didn't.
She was always asking, what if she could get more shifts, for instance. Like, was I telling a ghost which section to take?
Yeah.
She actually worked there.
So I guess what she said, and from how I perceived it, is that she was saying that she only worked at SUR when the cameras were rolling. That was how I understood the
No, she did. She worked there. I don't know why she's making this up. There are literally people that worked with her. There's someone else. I told her about it. And she was like, she used to ask me for shifts all the time. What is she talking about? But I'm here to set the record straight. I am. I'm saying it straight.
What do you think the motivation was for her to say that?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's trying to denigrate the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, what would be her motivation to say something like that? Maybe to make it look like it's not real in the eyes of the beholder. which I wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I especially with the earlier seasons of the show, I feel like the show is very authentic in the sense, I feel like the reason why we are where we're at now, where the show is being rebranded and starting fresh with a new set of cast members, is to start from a place where people are working at the restaurant again, because I do think that as the years went on, people did stop working there, and that did change some of the show. So how do you reflect on your experience on the show? Did you ever feel like at times you wanted more from the show, or you wanted to be...
I enjoyed every aspect of my, like, everything on the show. I mean, I wish I could have slapped myself across the face a couple of times with some of the decisions I made as far as appearance goes. Why the hell was I wearing a blue on blue striped shirt? That was just, and what is with the hair, Peter? Like, I just want to go back in time and slap myself across the face. You know what I mean?
We all feel that way, though.
Yeah, I know. But still, mine's in the public realm.
Since you're here to settle some misconceptions, I want to ask you, what are some other, like, common misconceptions that you've seen about Vanderpump Rules?
The biggest one is the one that I've addressed, which is nobody actually worked at SUR. It's like, yes. I don't know where that misconception comes from. Like, I think that it's because people would go in and they wouldn't see anybody, you know? And, I mean, people have other lives, you know what I mean?
Of course.
You know?
So how often, like, let's say cameras aren't rolling, you're telling me that Jax would still be doing his shift on, like, a winter day when there's no cameras rolling, no season being filmed, Jax is still bartending?
I mean, if he needs to, yeah. Otherwise, he takes some time off.
Okay.
You know? Just like, see, the reason why I was there all the time is because I didn't have, you know, I'm managing, so I have to be there. You know,
Different
there's
roles.
a big difference.
Yeah.
A lot of people can take some time off, a lot of time off, you know?
Yeah.
I'm because of what I did, I missed out on a lot of, like, fun trips.
Yeah.
With people, with, you know, like with the group. Like when you're in the summer, everyone's on alert to be there all the time, basically.
Right.
You know, so you have a little bit more leeway. It's like, oh, okay, well, we're taking the cast trip. But in the off season, it's a little bit more tricky.
Just like friend trips.
Yes.
Outside of the
outside
show.
of outside of the show. Yeah.
Okay. What was it like in the times where you had to reprimand certain cast members for certain behaviors that they were doing?
We actually saw that on TV, season 3.
How real was that?
That was very real. I remember before we were filming, I told Eliza, I was all like, I need to address James and Kristen's conduct right now. She's like, all right, address it in the meeting. I was like, well, okay, cool. I'll do it in the meeting. Sounds good.
Yeah.
You know.
So those meetings were real.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
We're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Oh, no.
Who was the best server at SUR?
Oh, Stassi.
Okay. Who was most likely to show up late to a shift?
Tom Sandoval.
Who was most likely to mess up a drink order?
Jack Saylor.
Who would you trust most to handle a big table?
Sheena.
Okay. Who sucked up to Lisa the most?
I don't know, actually. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no, I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, like, not that I can't remember. It's more like, who did?
Kristen when she needed to.
That's true. Well, Kristen sucked up to me too when she needed to. Same with Stassi when they needed to.
Yeah, when they needed to. Who was most likely to sneak a drink at work?
Kristen.
Was the back
or Stassi?
Yeah,
both of them. Or Katie.
Sure.
Oh yeah, all three of them.
Was the back alley really the hangout spot?
Yes.
It's
still the hangout spot to this day.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I drive by and I'll like look over to see.
Yeah, that's you can see random servers out there like taking their smoke break. Okay. Although it's not smoking anymore, it's vaping now. Yeah. I'm the only one that still smokes cigars.
Who would you be most excited to see on the same shift as you?
Someone who gets their job done.
So
it could be all of the above.
Who received the best tips?
Stassi received a lot of good tips. So did Katie. They were both very efficient.
Yeah. I feel like
the one that used to get all the shifts, though, was Kristen. Kristen Doty devised a way to schedule herself 7 days a week. When I was a server, she would be texting me, like, do you want this shift in exchange for this shift? I was like, sure, because she already knew that someone else was trying to give up that particular shift, so she'd come into work anyway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
And so once people caught on, they're all like, no. But she still found a way to work at least 5-6 days a week. But a lot of times she'd be working 7, So because of that, we knew if there was a slow night, we knew who we were going to cut automatically. Yeah. And then she ended up picking up anyway.
Her reputation was that she never wanted to be there, but
that was her reputation. So I think it was a cover.
Yeah.
So I think it was a cover for her to be like, "Oh, I don't really want to work at SUR, but everyone's giving me all these shifts."
Who was most likely to flirt with customers?
Kristen. Or Katie.
Or Jax.
Or Jax. Jax, definitely.
Okay, and the final one is...
all of them. All of the above.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Okay, last one. Do you actually like the goat cheese balls?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love them. Absolutely. I like goat cheese. I don't understand. I'm just like a charcuterie type of guy.
Yeah. What's your favorite SUR cocktail?
The Greenfield.
I don't think I've had that one.
So it's like a cucumber margarita, but with sage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fans will joke about you being the only responsible person at SUR. Before the show, were you naturally a leader or a rule enforcer?
Well, I'm the oldest in my family, so I'm the firstborn out of 7.
Okay, so you were born for this.
Yes, I was born for it. So I was supposed to be the responsible one according to my parents. Basically, I was born to be a leader.
Being on a reality show and going through all the different things on live television for so many years can be an overwhelming and overstimulating situation to be in. So were there ever times on the show where you felt like your mental health was struggling, or you felt that the show was hindering your mental health?
No.
No?
No, I have a pretty strong constitution.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've never had that problem.
Yeah. What can you tell me about the new Vanderpump Rules that is coming out?
Well, it's going to be dramatic.
Okay.
It's going to be you're going to see it's dramatic. Yeah.
Do you know when it's coming?
I think it's coming out in, I'm estimating probably November per usual.
Can we expect to see you on it?
We'll see.
Okay. We are now 2 years post Scandoval.
Uh-huh.
I feel like there was a new wave of Vanderpump fans that came along after Scandoval because everyone was just like, "What is this tea?" It was just...
Well, yeah, because I started getting people coming up to me at SUR being like, "We started watching because of Scandoval, so we went back in time."
Yeah.
Everyone started really watching from season scratch. 1. I don't know what it was particularly that everyone resonated with. That particular
there was
scandal.
Tons of scandal on the show and tons of cheating that happened.
Was,
but that was just
it was more egregious. It was more sadistic.
It was pretty sadistic.
Yeah, it didn't. It was.
I think it was just
there's certain people that I will never I just no.
Have you talked to Tom Sandoval since Scandoval?
We've had in passing conversations, but I don't. Yeah.
What is your take now that the dust has settled? Where do you feel like everyone is with post Scandoval? Have you heard
I think
anything?
Everyone's now living their lives, but there's irreparable
do you feel like that is part of why the show had to reboot?
I think so. Honestly, I think because it was so bad, it's just created all these sides that nobody was going to be able to get along and no one's going to be able to get into the same room. So
the show got this new wave of people and was so popular, but then it also had to end at the same time. I feel like that doesn't usually happen that way. Usually when that happens, they keep going and it gets more and more. But I feel like this was just, like you said, so messed up that putting everyone in the same room was
they weren't gonna. It wasn't gonna work. They weren't going to get along. So I feel like because it fractured a lot of relationships that are irreparable. It wasn't a viable option to continue. Yeah.
Are you and Jack still friends?
No.
No.
Yeah, no. I'm over it. I'm over a lot of stuff. Just put it that way.
That's fair.
That's why I'm like, did the last 10, 15 years actually happen? Was I in a dream the entire time?
Yeah. Are you single or are you dating or are you in a relationship? What is the tea?
I'm dating.
Dating? A singular person or multiple people?
Well, actually, I haven't. What's funny is that I was dating multiple. I was dating a lot the last couple of years, and this year, I haven't really been going on any dates.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't have that. I'm not really like concerned with that part of my life right now.
You're focused.
What I'm focused on is building my network, building my company.
What is dating like now at this age versus dating in your mid to late 20s?
That's a question.
How old are you?
I'm going to be 42 next month.
42. So what's it like dating in your 40s versus dating in your 20s?
You know what you want. In your 40s, you're more like, okay, planning for the future.
Right.
You know.
What is your experience like with people having a parasocial relationship with you? Is it like if you go on a first date with someone, how can you see through whether they're there for the right reasons or not?
You just have to take the chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're really into somebody, you just have to take the chance. But I would hope that any lady that wants to go on a date with me would be into it for me and not for...
That's valid.
You know?
Are you on the apps?
I mean, I have been on the apps, but I'm not on the apps right now.
Not actively.
I mean, like, I guess they're still downloaded on my phone, but I don't have time.
Yeah.
Like, I literally don't have any time for that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've dated before. I've dated all, in the past, and, I've come close to marriage, but, it's just kind of nothing's ever worked out. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my companies. And I'm going to build. Yeah.
There's no doubt and no hiding the fact that you are an extremely hard worker and very determined.
Thank you. I started my own television network, reality network, and now we're expanding. Within the next 3 to 6 months, I'm going to expand to a bunch of different platforms. So we'll see how that goes. I am working on my own TV show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Okay, so it's a little bit of a travel show. I've already got 2 episodes done. It's called Outside the Rules.
You said travel?
Yeah, so it's a little bit, it's about my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode of Trying to Figure It Out. Peter, you are amazing. I'm so glad we got to talk, and it's been a pleasure to have you here. So I'm
appreciate
very grateful. We will see you all next week on Trying to Figure It Out. Thank you for listening. This episode of Trying to Figure It Out is brought to you by the Hacienda Village Meat and Italian Deli. You guys, I love my meats, okay? I am an Italian to my core. I grew up in New York with a Long Island Italian family. There is nothing I know more about than a good Italian deli. And since living in LA, I have not found one of those until I found the Hacienda Village Meat and Italian Deli. You guys, not only do they have the best owners and the nicest staff, but the meats are insane. I know my sausages. I know my salamis. I know a good sandwich when I see one. And let me tell you guys, the quality is 10 out of 10. It is so good. I couldn't recommend it more. So if you live in the Southern California area or you're coming to Los Angeles anytime soon, please, please, please make your way over to the Hacienda Village Meat and Italian Deli. I promise you won't regret it.